Jacquil Constance.
Everybody wants to know, why is there so much art production in the world? Why is there an artist born every day in Haiti? Why is Haiti a nation of artists? That's the million-dollar question. Maybe we're just born that way. Maybe it's just in our genes, and maybe because we have to.
They can't help it. It's a gift, and and I think it bubbles over, and it has to come out.
Actually, up to now, nobody could answer that question. We only know that we have a lot of artistic talent in Haiti.
People tend to think that Haiti's art history started in the 40s and 50s when the outside world discovered a big movement that was going on there, and it was considered primitive art, and people were fascinated by it, by these self-taught painters. Probably, if it didn't come from Haiti or a black country, it would have been called surrealist art.
Puis c'est fois, un problème avec c'est tout un blanc européen. Depuis yo fini, yo tout dit oui, c'est faux c'est lugar. On si bala dépasser yo, bala pas niveau yo. Parce que l'on bagay dépasse bala pas capable bien aider. Et membre ça on est d'après ça dans yo news, côté que yo soit 6e ou 5e dans art dans le monde, ça dit mon bail petit, ça prouve Haïti gon force qu'il a toujours.
The specificity about Haiti is that it is a very curious experiment in humanity. You have a group of slaves that decided that they would take on the most important power at the time and beat it to the pulp is, like quite an accomplishment.
Moun qui pense que Haïti pauvre là, moun ça mettre réfléchir encore parce que Haïti pas pauvre, Haïti comprend créer là-dedans. Et haïtien, c'est un art plus fort sur la scène internationale.
Haitian art is art. I mean, art that is made by Haitians. So I don't think there should be one term that defines Haitian art. I think the artists are pretty sick of being thought of as Haitian artists. They want to be thought of as artists, people who create art. And the fact that they're Haitian, just happens to be a plus.
It's about damn time.
Yeah.
It's about time. This is what. Yes. Hold on a second. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Highlight our people for the good that we do.
Right.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate that. That is yes. And the reviews are well deserved. From that snippet that I saw of the trailer, I mean, like, Jacquil Constant, ladies and gentlemen. So, I have to ask, what is the driving force behind creating that production?
I mean, it was after the earthquake, and I was tired of all the negative images from mainstream media about Haiti, and basically showing the Haitian community in Haiti. Basically, they didn't have any agency, and I knew the Haitian community intimately, being Haitian American, and I wanted to show that. Then I realized I was the one who would have to showcase that narrative. So
Now,
that was
sorry to interrupt. Is that some of the artwork in your background right now?
Yeah, some art. I actually started collecting art. I actually have a Haitian bricolage gallery. So I started. I mean, it just gives you. Once you see yourself every morning you wake up, it you understand your mission and your purpose.
Okay. Yeah, that looks very vivid, and it looked like it's bold. Like I'm seeing it from like through the camera, and you know how filters and all of that stuff works. But like, it still through the camera translates like a powerful statement.
Yeah, I mean that's Henny Christophe. I mean from the north. I mean like I have the other Haitian revolutionary leaders, like but, I don't have Toussaint. That's the only one I don't have. But
Okay.
I have Pétionville, Alexander Petro Pichon actually. Then yeah, Jean Jacques Dessalines, the one who actually like uh, got the independence after basically Toussaint was assassinated.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think it's just like having these images in your home, um, just really inspire you. I think it just this puts allows you to focus and realize the work that you want to do.
Okay. All right. Now, I I often tell people it takes to look at the credits of a movie before they, what I mean, start thinking about like how many people it takes to make something happen. So, like your team, how many people did you work with to create the video, the movie, or the documentary? Sorry.
I mean, it took a lot. It's really me and my editor Heather. She's actually Jamaican American, and
Okay.
he put her like twist on it. My composer, he's African American. I was looking for somebody who understood the African diaspora, understood Haiti in particular. So that I
Mhm.
was really looking for people who had that understanding, were just not technical, understood to show the African diaspora and Haiti in a different light. So I was really looking for that. It wasn't just that you're good at your craft. It was like, do
Yeah.
you get the consciousness of our people? And that's
Oh,
what I was. That's I guess as the producer, that's what I was. That's what I was really looking for, because I know
okay.
wasn't just a project that you're just gonna finish and it was just done. I knew it was gonna have like ramifications after, and I wanted to last. So I
Yeah.
think it's just like the people that you have around you, you curate. They come with a certain energy, and they bring a different life force to the work.
Yes. Yes. The synergy of the team does direct the course of the project a lot of the time. And if everybody's not on the same page, then things can go awry. And yeah, you're right. It's important. It's important to have that connection, that
And I
chemistry.
had consultants too. It wasn't just people that were actually there was two components. It was the creative people, then I had business people to assist me. So I
Okay.
think that really helped me, being part of accelerators, like the Haiti Tech Summit. There was a documentary accelerator group that I was a part of, and this is basically the last 2 years was COVID doc. Like you had to, you couldn't be in the room with the editor, so you had to really trust your editor and your creatives, and so that was a different process for me from being really hands on. That just
Okay.
had to, allowed, and I wanted people to put their creative energy instead of being button pushers.
Okay. So delegation was
Yep.
a big part of this
Yep.
then. Excuse me. All right. Um Now, do you find, and this is a little off base here a little bit, do you find we are represented well enough where it comes to what we do well?
I mean, the simple answer would be no.
I
But
just had to ask the question.
no, yeah, I think, but it takes us to do the research. So at first it started as a graduate project that was only, that was 6 minutes for me. Then I just continued to go back to Haiti, um, and just kept shooting more. And I felt it was something that this project could never be. People wanted more and more from it, and I've been so transformed by it. So I think it just, what I mean, like I became a curator. This is a feature film now that's award winning. Um, Now the work is supporting me. It's on the other. It was before I was the one, the number one cheerleader. I felt like, but
Yeah.
now I feel like people are seeing the value. Like the work was at the Haitian, it was at the embassy, it was at Duke University. We premiered it at on film festival to Pavilion Afrique. So yeah, the person who started it is from Martinique and invited me to have my film there. My film festival first, Haiti International Film Festival, and that's been in existence for 8 years. and our whole mission is to show a positive image of Haiti to film and art. Then last year I took the year to focus on finishing the documentary. So and that's what, when you're intentional, I think, and I just really focused, and I think that really helped me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's important. Art is definitely an important aspect of, I want to say, our psychological stability. If we can't express ourselves how we see fit and are structured towards, I guess, conducting ourselves according to the wills of others, we'll never really be who we truly can be.
I think it's a form of liberation.
Yes.
When you have art that you see yourself, books that you read, it just makes you take more risk, because now there's people have done it before. So
Hmm.
I think that's what I always looked at, or I know I needed when I was, I mean, when you're the only one in your film department or in your grad school, like that historical knowledge of what um, black people in the African diaspora have done previously
Hmm.
is gives you a roadmap, you know. So I think like that's really important, and just your network, and just mentors. You need
Yep.
them. You need people who've done it, who've been where you want to go, basically.
Yeah.
And see them, and they look like you, and not, it's not all the time you get somebody that looks like you, but when it is a privilege, you have somebody where you could have these shorthand conversations, you know what I mean, because they understand
Yep.
culturally. I
You
think
don't got to
that helps.
explain the whole thing out. Yep. Yep. So, no, you're right. You're right. This is definitely, and like I said, it's refreshing to see, because that was one of my biggest problems. We don't show ourselves in a positive light as often as we can, and with the opportunity to do so, we should take it. Like, there's so many avenues that we have available to us now that give us the opportunity to have that liberty of expression.
And, and we have to take it. I don't think there's a point that we're waiting for somebody to open the door for us. Like,
Hmm.
where is our manifest destiny? Where is our manifesto? Like,
Mm.
where is our, you know what I mean? Like those type of things that we're projecting our future. But when you do this, it gives you confidence. And I think having the film festival, giving people their flowers now, not waiting, because a lot of times our stories are always connected with death or
Yep.
poverty, or
Yep.
like, hey, why do we only get acknowledged when death or
It's
destruction?
it's like
And I want to show that we have life. Maybe I'm sorry, I was around that Love Jones era. I was around an era that, what I mean, that like it did show a lot of black love. There was a lot of people that pulled my coat, what I mean, that in our community. So, it'll be, I'll be a hypocrite to not show that, because that was the people who pulled me in and, made sure that I stayed on the I stayed on the right path.
intriguing.
Hmm.
There's just, it's like everybody wants the same thing, but there's a lot of people hating on the ones who actually achieve it. Like, everybody wants to have that love, regardless of your color, your culture, your creed, your craft. Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to be received and accepted for who they feel themselves to be. But so few are willing to actually accept others for who they truly are. If you come up to me, glub glub, I'm a fish. I'm an asshole if I say, well, climb that tree.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
like, it's just what it is. Because I know you're a fish for being a fish. You
right.
can't. It's not in your makeup to climb that tree. So for me now to know you can't climb that tree and then tell you to climb that tree, so I can judge you according to how I feel you should act, because I'm the monkey. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Really, and that's academia for you. That is academia. You see a kid doodling, drawing, graffiti, and then you give them numbers. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. You gotta, yes, they have to know the numbers, but at the same time, give them color by number. Then
Right.
give them color by equation. Then give them number.
I'm a professor. I teach at Patterson City College, and I try to have my students like I help them develop their own voice. Because I think that's important. Because I think in academia, sometimes they take you away from that, and I
Yes.
think it's important because they're going to have to be there 20 hours editing this project. So if they're not passionate about it, it's just not going to be finished, and it's not going to be done with love and energy. And they're like, I tell them, like, you start with an empty canvas, but your life experience, all you guys have different life experience, different aesthetic, and it's going to come out in the work. But
Yep.
trust yourself to create, to inspire yourself. And it's not just the end product, the commodity. I think the problem in America, a lot of times people they're so used to being a commodity, until I went to continent where people are accepting the full you. And they accept you running a film festival, accept you being a professor, or accept you being a filmmaker. Where here, like, you're just a filmmaker, you're just a like, they put you in boxes because it makes sense. It's capitalism. It's to monetize you, right?
And I want to
Um,
commend you. I want to commend you right now because you're talking about giving the roses. I don't have the patience to teach. I've tried to show people how to do things that I know, and it is one of the hardest things for me to do because I already know it, so I can't forget it to show you how to learn it. Because if I forget it, then I forgot it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So for you to be able to go beyond yourself and be an educator, which is an integral aspect of society's development, if we want to evolve to beyond where we currently are, I have to give you your roses for doing that because it takes a lot of patience. I have one child in the house on a regular basis, and she pushes my buttons like I'm a Nintendo Switch, and I love her to life. But bro, more power to you for having rooms full of them and educating them in a way that hopefully benefits them as they grow.
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I just look at the history, and I think a lot of it came from when I looked at, like, African leaders. A lot of them were educators. When I started looking at that, guys who started, like, doing the whole race movies era. A lot of them were teachers or preachers who had a
Okay.
congregation already, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. They already have a group, that they talk to every week. Either it's a church, a pulpit, or it's a classroom. And I kind of looked at that stuff when I was really working on my film festival and curating different black films. I used to curate a black film every month at the Made Me Claim Museum in Culver City. So I think
Yeah.
of being put in those environments, like, I was like, I need to research the history, and it allowed me to curate different films and have different conversations. Like, how am I going to show them films that are going to inspire them or liberate them? So I think that I guess that training, digging a little deeper, really, um, helps me in the classroom because I bring films that a lot of them don't even know Tom Bradley is a black man. They think he's just an icon at LAX, and it's like there's so many things that people, and maybe that's why I got into documentaries, because it's like there's so many things that people just don't know about our culture.
Yep. I mean, here's a fun fact: black people invented hockey.
What? Oh, you're in Canada, so yeah, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Whoa.
I used to play hockey growing up. Like, it started as foot hockey, but because of the fact that, according to media, black people that play hockey, them not on the skate for that. We're not on the ice where they.
It
So
tells
I
us,
stopped. you
yeah. I mean,
know.
and yeah, that's profound, because the way that hockey is portrayed now, that's
Yep.
so far from that, you know?
Yep. Hmm. You think of like you think of the Subans and the Weekses and all of those guys. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that
Yep.
goes into it. So I want to see this become like a series. Like I think you have an international brand right here. Like you could go to any country, has like you know what I mean, and add as an artist kind of thing, and
Yeah.
just highlight the art out of that community or that diaspora.
Yeah, that would be amazing because we have great artists all over the diaspora. That would be, you know, um, yeah. I heard
Yeah.
that the Silicon Valley African Film Festival, like it could be Brazil as a nation of artists, or it could be Nigeria as a nation of artists.
Hmm.
So I mean, that was I wanted us to really empower the African diaspora, to see the work that we
Yes.
do. But I think, yeah, that's kind of the goal. Wanted to do one for like music, then want to start, especially with the art, because that's what I had experience. I had experience in from the documents for painters and people who did sculpture, but to show that in other places in the diaspora, I think that would be phenomenal. Just to show how we keep our traditions. You know what I mean? They're not lost because look at these artists. These artists are painting stuff that was hundreds of years ago, or African deities. Like you're 20, you're 18 years old, you're 20 years old. How do you know to paint this thing that's 200 years old? You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So if you're telling me we don't know our history, it's not true. You know?
No. Oh man. So I usually when we get to around the halfway mark of the show is where I flip the script.
Okay.
And when I flip the script, I give the guest the opportunity to be the host and ask any questions they may have or make any statements they may want to make. So let's flip the script.
Okay. Um, the statement I want to make is just like it's so great to be persistent and create um, an avenue, a space that's where there was no space
Yep.
for you or for us, and it's such a liberating experience. And now that I'm getting that, I'm not, and I was intentional. I wrote it down that I want this time. I was like, I want to win awards. The first time I was humble. I was like, it's okay. I just get in a film festival, but this time I was like, I wrote it down. I put on my vision board. For 2020, it was on my board, and it's like I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, like like Les Brown. I listen to 19 Keys. I listen to um, there's another Eric Thomas, I think. But
Okay.
the hip hop preacher, and I think they motivate me and set me up in the mindset. So before I go in, I go to class or I go to work or I work on a project. Uh, I come with the right mentality and the right energy, and that's been a really transformation. And he goes, instead of giving 80, you're gonna have to give it 120. And when I started going 120, that's when I started winning awards. He goes, you're doing 80, 80 ain't enough. It's not enough. And I
No.
was like, okay, let me see what it is like to give 120, you know? And
Mm,
now to do something that you love and wake up and get paid for it. Wake up and teach cinema, wake up and work on a production, fly different places because of something I produce. Now my film festival is flying me out to DC to do a 3-day film festival out there. I'm like, whoa,
hey.
like stick to the guns. You know what I mean? Like Nipsey, the marathon continues. You got to just believe in yourself before anybody else believes in yourself.
Yep. That's
Um, you know,
facts.
and those are the things that I say is like really important. And I like since we're flipping the script, I want to find out what motivated you to start your podcast.
I was motivated to start the podcast when, like, this personal podcast is the third podcast that I do. So this one was suggested by an artist that I work with because the first podcast or the second podcast that I did um, really highlighted the artists and their art. But I play music on that podcast. It's called The Terrell Effect. It's every Saturday at 12 p.m. Um, this one is to get to know the artist behind the art or the business person behind the business. So to, get a better idea or a better feel of who does what and, what I mean, how they accomplish it, or inspirational quotes or anything like that. So it started though because I realized there was a lot of artists and activists and businesses, but there weren't a lot of avenues to promote their productions or their services. So I decided to take it upon myself to carve a niche in the digital realm, if you will, to make an avenue for people to come on and, talk about their stuff. And it stays up there for as long as it stays up there. So they can refer back to it at any point in time and then build their catalog with the one seed, so to speak. So it's to talk about what everybody else is doing, ultimately.
And
Yeah.
since this lasted, I see this is 161 episode. What's
Yep.
your what's your secret sauce? What has made it stay 100
Ooh.
last 161 episodes?
I'm gonna say put God first because that's that's the only thing I can think of. Realistically speaking, I say I meditate daily. I figure out what I have to do to make myself right for the day, and then I just take on whatever's in front of me. And I find if I don't put him first, like I'm stubbing my toe, I'm bumping my knee, my shoulder's out of joint, and things just aren't right. You know what I mean? But like I always have an idea. I always have someone to work with. There's always a suggestion when I do that. And that's not me trying to thump and get anybody to believe the way I believe. It's just that's what works for me. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. I think like putting God first or your spirituality, it showed me so many ways this film got done. It was because of God in a lot of ways. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the way that he just shows up or put the right people in your life.
For
Um,
real.
it's like
For
these little miracles where you're like, nah, that was him. That wasn't even me. I couldn't even, you
listen,
know.
science cannot explain the things that have happened to my life in the last 2 months. Okay?
Hmm.
According to science, a lot of the things that have happened in the last 2 months should not have happened. Okay, if we're going by the times that I'm supposed to be at places and the things that I'm supposed to be doing and specific elements of those locations, and you know what I mean, it's like it's surreal. My life is surreal. Like I was sitting here bored by myself, like, I wonder where everybody is. Everybody just showed up. Then I had to start doing the podcast. I'm like, okay, guys, there's too many. I'm thinking in my head, all right, there's too many people here. Like, we got to whittle it down. Everybody started leaving. I had help with that, mind you. But, like, everybody just filed out. Like, the guest and manager came in, everybody started filing out. Yeah, you've been appointed. So it's a sidebar conversation. But yeah, and everybody started filing out. I was just like, okay, if this how it works, this is how it works. Cause like I need to be able to have that balance between like pleasure and production.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make it. It has. You have to structure it. You know what I mean? You have to like, if you really committed to the work,
Yep,
the work has its own structure.
it
And
does.
you got to follow that. It has its own blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
And once you understand that, it will work out. I think a lot of it's that people are just being fearful a lot of times. What's going to happen? But if you really go after something, when have you not succeeded? You wake up every morning. you know, you do what
Yeah,
you need to do. But I think it's really when you start owning that and it just works in mysterious. It works in mysterious ways when you really
Yeah,
believe in what you're doing, you know, and you reap the benefits. And I think that's it's a 10-year grind. It's the 10,000 hours. It's all that stuff that they talk about. You know, it's
10
the
years.
50 hours of power. It's like really reading, reading and understanding and what motivates you. What songs do you listen to? What
Fam,
gets you in the right space? And if you do that,
yep.
you're Dalai Lama, man. You
I did,
you good. You
I
know,
did a 20-year plan from 2007. I have 4 years left to get my warehouse.
20. I can think of 5 years, but 20 years is like that's too dead.
20 years, fam. This title right here is one of the things that I wanted on the list. Because if you look on the side, there's side plates, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made a title that the Rikishi. I don't know if you remember the Attitude Era at WWE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Rikishi signed the title that I made, and I told him that my title had replaceable side plates because I had a lot of belt buckles. So I would drill holes in the side of them, and then when I wanted to switch the plates out on the belt that I made, I just switched the plate out, put the screws back in, call it a day.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah.
That's what this is. That idea, that concept.
The
And I
brand.
know it was Rikishi, or he either Rikishi told Vince or Rikishi told The Rock, and The Rock told Vince. Some way or another. I say that to say anything is possible when you believe it to be.
Believe me, man, I've seen it, man. It's just like
Yep.
now, I'm living the dream that when I was, starting off as a production assistant and working in the mailroom, and now being a professor running a film festival is like, going to like I used to look at these films, but now you're in these spaces. So it's like sometimes it's surreal, or I used to be a student, but now I'm the professor of a place where I used to be a student, going full circle in life, and it's just
That's
like, whoa,
isn't
you
that mega
remember,
though?
huh?
Isn't that mega though? It's not even big. It's mega. Like you're an alumni at an area where you teach, so you can say you are literally the depiction of success they had tried to achieve.
And that's why I tell them the first day of class when they come in, they're like, whoa. I said, I used to sit in these seats, So when I transferred to Cal State Northridge and came back and now I teach at Pasadena City College, and it's so inspiring just to see their voices or their lights turn on. And,
Mhm.
what I mean? So, and seeing other, Haitian creatives like, they're getting their flowers or they're doing their um like Send Help with Gene Ellie, is on all Black network, and see him do his 30-minute shows about being a Haitian American in Los Angeles. That was what I wanted to see 20 years, but somebody's making that now. That's a beautiful part of this digital, like you said, this digital engagement.
Mhm.
That what we're dreaming out, people are actually living this now. You know, it's not just it's not just an idea, something that's just far fetched. So I think that's the beautiful part. I mean, this film wouldn't got made. How are you going to get that archival footage if it wasn't for digital? How are you going to
Mhm.
get those photos? But it's having the knowledge and how to acquire. Um, and I think our community didn't have the capacity for the acquisition. But a lot of stuff that we've done has been homegrown. But now we have distribution outlets, social media to get our word across. Like us talking now, you're in
Yep.
Canada, I'm in LA. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like how's that? And just seeing that keep making these connections and seeing that our work is very global. You know,
Yes.
um, so I think once we're able to connect, we realize that you're a duplication. You're my digital twin. That's in the tech space. That's how they, and it's
Yep.
true. It's like
Yep.
somebody who's maybe in an audio space, maybe a filmmaker, but when you look at it, you have very similar values. You know, and that's why you're able to create and you're able to, um, because you're an entrepreneur too. You always got to solve problems. That's your that's your job as a creative entrepreneur. You know. Yeah, definitely. I want you guys to see the film Haiti's a Nation of Artists. It's going to be at the Pan African Film Festival. It's going to be on the 11th at 3:45, and on Valentine's Day on the 14th at 1:15. So if anybody's in LA or on eventive.org, you can see the films online. We have like films from all over the diaspora. They have over 170 films, and it's the biggest black film festival in the country. Um,
Sure.
so I think if you want to be inspired, you want to see different images that you don't see from the mainstream, watch, Hades, the Nation of Artists, and other films that are in the film festival. So I think it's what we consume too. It's what we feed ourselves and keep
Yep.
us strong. You know, so if we're always watching stuff that doesn't have positive images, and I've been on the other side. I'm not gonna make it seem like I worked on Flavor Flav and I love New York and I did reality, and I was like, after doing that, I was like, I want to do work
Hmm.
to do with my legacy. You know, um, that wasn't the reason why I went to film school. But I think I learned a lot from being in that space. But I wanted to take that reality experience and make documentaries and tell these different stories. And you know, yeah, you got to go for it. If you anything you want to do, it's possible. You just have to put the time and the dedication. That's really what it is. And if you
Yep.
do that, you know, you'll get to the other side. It's just doing the work and spiritually being centered and grounded. I think those two things, if you have God in your side and a strong work ethic, I don't think no one can get in your way. I think a lot of it is our self-limiting beliefs. Am I good enough?
Mm.
When you're already the chosen person, God put you in here because you have talents. He didn't put you in here to not give you resources. It's just like once you step into your power, the doors open for you. But are you ready when the doors open? So you want to be ready. You know what I mean? So
Prepare for the opportunity to present itself. Exactly. All right. It has been. I want to see when you come out with more. I feel like that docu series that you have going on for you is going to be a big thing.
no, definitely. I have that. I have my next feature film narrative is called Dear Mama, and it's about
Okay.
my mom passed away a couple years ago. It's about a
Okay.
Haitian American woman who migrated from Haiti and moved to Brooklyn, and she was in an abusive relationship. Then she moved out to California. So, I want to tell that story. I think that's my next story that I want to do, and do some more like documentary series. But I mean, I always like realism, so I mean that's really what I'm into. Um, but I want to show, single parent mom. I mean, that was the story that motivated me. Who, when it gets a grain, I was an entrepreneur. My mom was a psychic. So like coming from that, and a caregiver, that motivated me to be a filmmaker. Um, so I think it's just telling these stories that are nuanced, but that inspire our community to do better, and to show that the greatness in our community. And I think that was my mom. That's one of the things, like always, like show the good things, try to like get the best in life. I think her giving me that mantra like really helped me to navigate. Because when people were always trying to give me less, I was like, no, you know, you know, you can have better. You can do better. Um, so I mean, those are the things that really, I guess, the values, right? Like our value system, it matters.
Hmm. Gotta really assess it. Oh man, caught a fleck. Ah, I'm
You
good.
good?
I'm good. Oh man. I was gonna say something and then I took a breath in. I don't know if it's dust from the fan or what. And just said, "Nah, bruh."
Yeah.
Mm, nope, still not working. All
Yeah.
right, so yes, we do have Lennox Farrell, who we had conversations with
Hmm.
earlier this afternoon. So I would like to thank you for your time and not sound like I'm choking on air.
Okay. Yeah. We don't want you to be.
There we
Hey.
go.
Right.
All right,
Good. Oh, he's back.
I'm back, like I never left. Tear. That's, that's what I'm saying. Life happens. You
Yep.
just gotta keep living.
You got to make it do what it do.
What was there anyone you wanted to shout out before you head out?
Oh, definitely. I want to shout out my wife, Bernice Constant. She's the graphic designer, photographer, um, this, always supportive in all my creative endeavors. You know me from this film Hades, a Nation of Artists. She's one of the producers. My sister Kazima Fandel, who's always pushing me. Um, um, Jay, her husband. This is a family project too. I think it's homegrown. It was slow cooked, you know. Um,
Nice.
so I think my mom, she actually came out to Haiti to help make this project, um, you know, be complete. Then it came a whole community, the Haitian American community, the Haitian diaspora. I would like to shout out Kareem Fabulous, who has a gallery, Haitian gallery, Gallery Lakai, that's been in existence for 30 years in Los Angeles. So, and she's like one of the stars in our documentary. Edward Duval Curry, he's one of the biggest artists out of Miami, Ingles, out of Brooklyn. So I really wanted to show like artists in the Haitian diaspora who are doing phenomenal work. Sorrel Lewis, who's in Haiti. He's in Petroville. He does like amazing work. There's so many great, and I think once I saw like how amazing the work was in Haiti, it gave me no excuses when I came back because like they had not having electricity all the time and seeing that they're making sensational work. It just made me want to like step my game up. Like when I saw what they were creating with limited resources. Um, you know, but yeah, it takes a whole village to make this happen. You know, yeah, like I have Janet Chu, who's one of my virtual assistants and does camera work and a student filmmaker. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I think it's just like really working with your community, either it's education or it's business or it's cultural. Um, and actually, I'm showing this film too tomorrow, February 9th at Pasadena City College. So it's
Okay.
going to be shown tomorrow at 7 p.m. And I'm going to have, there's going to be a Q&A with our composer, Kennard Ramsey and Richardson. Um, I'm from this organization, Moonlight Kai, that's for for Haitian actors that are in LA. So
Hmm.
yeah, it takes a whole community to make this happen. It's Black History Month.
Yep.
So and we had the Pan African. So definitely catch. And it's great to show the film in your city. Like I was born in Brooklyn, but I've been in LA over 30 years. So um, so I think it's great to be able to have people support your work, have institutions support your work. Um, but realize they're supporting our work because we're giving them excellence, right? They're
Yep.
doing it because you have a business model, right? So I think realizing that and stepping into your power too. I think sometimes artists we give institutions and outside entities so much credit, but we forget ourselves in the mix sometimes and realize that
Mhm.
the reason these people are partnering with us because we're value creators. And once
Yep.
you understand, now I'm understanding that um, internally you have to validate yourself. You can't just get validation from institutions are outside of yourself, you have to do that too, because that secret sauce is keeping everybody coming. So if you're not filling up that, you could drain yourself. So just learning to, like you said, be patient with yourself. You want, for you to create the kind of work you want and the change that you want, you have to believe in yourself. Like you said,
Mhm.
put God first,
Yep.
and you have to, and He'll help you figure the way out, and it'll work the way it's supposed to work. And I mean, write your own script. Make it. I've always went off the most untraditional roads, but it's
Mhm.
gotten me where I need to be. Like I went to Fispaco when I was like 20. Yeah, I think I was like 25 when I went there. But I met somebody from Sundance and ended up interning for her. But if you wouldn't know, I never would have. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't um, do something that was uncomfortable. That was different. You know what I mean? So I think it's just, yeah, just continue to do the work. You know.
Right. All right. We'll do. We'll do.
And yeah, and check us out at the Haiti International Film Festival.org, and look at going to Pan African Path.org if you want to purchase tickets. Um, you know, and support Haiti's the Nation of Artists as a movement. It's global. So yeah, just definitely look out for us. We're gonna have shirts, and really look out for us, and we're gonna do more documentaries with the African diaspora, because this is our target audience. You know what I mean? And we want to inspire you. So
Mhm.
um, just keep looking out for our new work that we're creating, and support in Haiti's a Nation of Artists. And we're gonna
Okay.
make a book too. So we want to do like a photo book with some poetry of all the
Okay.
pictures that I've taken over the years with the with
Well,
the with the
well,
film.
Culture Shock magazine issue 26 is in the works, but issue 25 can be found at sharetheshock.ca/issue dash 25. And if you'd like to include something in issue 27, I mean, that would be interesting.
That'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm open. I'm
Okay.
definitely open. So you know, it's just great going on this voyage, and now coming to this film festival a second time, and
Yep.
now having more resources, look, more gray hairs.
Mm-hmm.
um, you
Gotta
know,
cover mine.
you cover yours up. I can't cover mine no more. It's all the way. I've completely accepted it now. There's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no,
I got a
there's
little
no,
bit. I got a little bit. I'm in denial.
yeah, no, because you
Swimming
got
upstream.
that's why you got majority black. I'm like, the black is,
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's all
no, I
good
would
though.
love to do that.
Okay,
So for having me on your show,
no
and
problem.
I just want to continue to build, and finally maybe get up in Canada. But at least it's good that we got to meet this way,
Yes,
and
sir.
I think digital engagement is so important for our community,
Hmm.
because it just changes what's possible for you, and it's a
Exactly.
reality. So thanks for the work that you're doing, because I know this is a lot. To do 161, that's a heavy lift.
Yeah, yeah,
So I just want to think that you're giving creatives and political leaders that don't have the platform to express their ideas,
yep.
or just with the projects they're working on. We need
Hmm.
these platforms too. It makes what we're doing valid. Because if you're not written about, no one's if you're not on a podcast, it makes your work more relevant.
Hmm.
So I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing, brother, because I know it takes a village to make this happen.
Yes, sir. All right. Pleasure, and look forward to future endeavors.
Let's definitely do that. Well, thank you so
All
much.
right. No problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jacquil Constant. Haiti is a nation of artists. Look out for that. Be sure to check out the website and all of that fun stuff. Yeah, make it happen.
So we're gonna do it. we'll have that virtual screenings. Just look out for us. You'll find we're always making sure that we're promoting and changing the image of Haiti and the Haitian diaspora and the African
Mhm.
diaspora. So just look out for us. Thank you so much.
No problem. Take care.
Thank you.
Right. So, all right. Now we have a little bit more for you. We have Lennox Farrell. I have to admit that on the image, I did spell his name wrong. That was totally my bad. I was in a blatant rush, and then links got sent out and all of that stuff. I'm human, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 161 episodes, okay? You can't expect me to be perfect all the time. But anyways, we're gonna. Oh man, we are going to. Oh man, give me a few minutes to talk to you about what's going on in life and in general. Shaka 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 Khan. Shaka 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 Khan. You can ask why I did that, but I might not tell you. Good things are happening for me, ladies and gentlemen. Something's spinning, and its name is Walter. Anyways, hold on. Ooh, yeah. Okay. So, I have to go about this in a nonsensical way because I have to get the content. Boom. Gotta get the content to show. Um, yeah, I gotta get the content. So ultimately speaking, this is Black History Month, and we are doing our best to highlight individuals of culture to bring them to the forefront of what is going on. Now, I have here, I have here, um, now it's here, I have here uh, video footage of a conversation with one Lennox Farrell, who is one of the founding members of Bad Seed, the Black Action Defense Committee, and looking to see if I could potentially show this to thee, which I should be able to if I get a second. And I pull through, which I always do, just to make a point to anyone listening through the international or global sound waves of the Village Global Radio Network, which is here every week along with Culture Shock Radio to globally bring you music and other creative and audio shows that will inspire, entertain, and educate you, all while enjoying the latest from the soon-to-be greatest. Dish. This station is for audience 18 years of age or older, also playing for those with legal lawful permission from a parent or guardian and/or have been judicially emancipated. All shows air in Eastern Standard Time. Ladies and gentlemen, on Mondays we have Whose Mic Is This at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. ish every other Monday. In the Field Radio at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. and Monday nights with Mr. No Weapon at 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. on Tuesdays. Write Your Own History TV, hosted by It's Only Right, goes from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. The Voice of the Valley, presented by Finally TV, is on at 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. on Tuesdays, while Wednesdays bring you the Midnight Master Mix Show with Natalie Elba and DJ Anthony Fuentes from 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. The Philosophy Show from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Candid Conversations out of Welland, Ontario, Canada is from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And in the studio with the Rec Boys is from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. ish. We also have Thursdays with EP's Quiet Storm with Teddy Bear Letters, 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. Healing with Miss Peggy Autumn's Way at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. As a Chips Balls Throwback Radio Podcast from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. ish. And then we have Let's Get Activated Radio Podcast at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Fridays we have Tea Time with Mrs. Bunky's featuring Mrs. Bunky, the radio podcast at 8:30 till 9:30 a.m. And we also have a Lou Woods radio show from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Couples Therapy with DJ P. Lethal at 12 p.m. till 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then we have the Terrell Effect on Saturdays from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. On Sundays, we have the Proving Ground, which is the Village Reading Series at 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. All of this is a part of the No, it's me. Did I get the other instrument? Yeah. It's like a little. Oh, I get it. My battery's dying, so I gotta change it. Give me a second. Yeah, battery's dead. So. It's always something, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so all that was just mentioned is a part of a Village Global Network station. And we're going to get to the video shortly. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, that's not the video right now. We got to go back in the time and get a different video. So I'm going to have to find something else to read for you. The 2 minutes it's going to take to download this. It's all good, though. Life just keeps happening in a way that makes you wonder what really is going on. But as it is, you know what I mean? We have a lot happening this week. Tomorrow, tune in to James Owen Brown's podcast. Me and the Boys Wrestling on James Owen Brown's channel. I co-host the Federation, where real people use digital avatars to settle their differences. And this week, it's about to be a brawl. Okay. On Saturday, check me out on the Terrell Effect, where I will have Scott from The Spell, DUI, Charlotte Hangeveld, as well as a few other guests, including DJ Klein International. And we will be talking about a few things, including the care package sent to DUI from Dispel out of Cleveland, Ohio. Sunday, we do have the Sunday function. That is where we play music that's smooth and mellow, but we also conduct ourselves like good fellows. Let's see what else we have for you. All right, we got this video finally, because I got the right one this time. All right, so let's you know what I mean, get you that video, because you need that. You need that. All right, cool. Just boom. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 161 of Candid Conversations. We are here with Lennox Farrell, an pioneer and advocate of the community. Lennox, how you doing today?
I couldn't be better, thank you.
Good.
Hello to your guests also.
Yes, thank you for joining us in studio.
The honor is mine.
All right. So yeah, we're here to talk about advocacy in the community, in the Black community. And it being Black History Month, I feel it right to, have this conversation with one of the founding members of Bad Seed, the Black Action Defense Committee. But I would like to get to know a few more things about it, and I want to hear it directly from the source, if you will. What was the founding principle of Bad Seed?
The founding principle was to defend the black community, especially young black males, from the police officers. The view they had that time of black people in general was more than a negative one. And of black men, that all black men were either criminals or hadn't been caught. And the role of the police was to root out this black community, black men, black young men, um, with the potential to commit crime. They truly felt that way,
Hmm.
that we were, I was a teacher. When I told teacher I was a teacher, they kind of looked surprised. My wife was a teacher. But black people didn't do those kinds of things. We
No,
weren't expected to be doing those kinds of things.
it's actually, that's kind of alarming that people were surprised at your occupation. But I did see this one post recently, and I was even more alarmed at the amount of people that had not had an Afrocentric educator in their entire 18-year career of schooling. And it's like, there's a lot of us. Why aren't there?
And this was high school through university.
Yeah.
And so there were black Canadians here, African Canadians over many, many generations,
Mm.
with some curious links to Trinidad, sending down codfish there and getting back alcohol and so in exchange, those kinds of things. That was Nova Scotia.
Mhm.
And then there was some black Canadians in the area, the metro area. That's they were descended or they related to or part of the porter boys, porter guys on the train. The
Mm.
trains at that time, um, going into the U.S., that sort of stuff. And then there was another influx. We were the newcomers, like a lot of other people who became Canadians at that time. Canada was bringing in um, people from abroad to
Mm.
build up the economy, to have more skills and trades available with schools and so. And we came from the Caribbean. I came in particular from Trinidad and Tobago. And when we came here, most of us had a secondary education. When I came here, there was an exam set in Trinidad, in Jamaica, in Barbados. So it's called the GCE exam, the General Certificate Exam, the London GCE, the London General Certificate Exam. The exams were set in London, and they were sent to the Caribbean. They were sent to the Caribbean. They were sent to Africa. It was British, sent to the all, and all of you on a certain date went to a place and sat a test. I remember when I sat the test in Trinidad, where I was, I sat. It was in the fish market. The fish market was a broad place, concrete place where they cut the fish up. So they scrubbed all those places, and where the fish would be cut and sold, that's where each of us sat down with a exam in front of us. A photograph is there, so the invigilator could look and see that you are you, and uh, and I sat my exam there.
Okay.
The exams were collected there, collected in Grenada, in Jamaica, all over the Caribbean, and they were sent to England. That's what they call the London GCE exam. General, and they were corrected.
Mm.
And you know that the results were out when in the local newspaper, it was the Trinidad Guardian at that time, the news is published. So people run, Lennox, your name is in the papers. And if your name wasn't in the papers that day, I tell you what you got from your parents, because you brought shame to your parents, in that sense. Of course, it was of course a lot of money to do the exams. So when I came to Canada here, I had my London GC certificate exams. So when I applied to U of T, I got them easily because they recognized it. But I'm not speaking of myself as symbolic, but more as part of a group of people who were all symbols.
Okay.
And symbols to the police meant we were unlettered And if we were lettered, we should be kept out of lettering, unlearned. And my first encounter with the police, this is about 3 months after I arrived in Canada.
Okay.
I was living in Bathurst on St. Clair. People who don't know, Bathurst is the downtown area where the black community population went. And I used to go to a friend in Castle Frank, that's Castle Frank, on the subway line, Castle Frank at Bathurst, on evenings. And I would get a lunch there or that sort of stuff. And one night I was traveling home. I left the house or the apartment building where they were, came and got in the subway. And when the train was pulling off, I felt somebody grab me behind my neck and pull me out. It was a man and woman. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know who the police looked like yet at the time. And they pulled me and put me inside the booth the, the where the tickets are being sold. And I tell that story because I still feel a deep wound about that. I feel bitter about that night. My mother's sick. Should have died because they said I had snatched a woman's purse, and they kept me there in the booth where they selling the tickets to the subway. And after 11 o'clock, they came and released me. It was after 11 because I know it was 11 because the sub stopped running at 11 o'clock. And I had to take a taxi to go home. And I asked, and they didn't say to me who they were. I asked the guy who was selling the tickets. I knew that what the subway people were like because I knew what the uniform was like. I said, "What happened?" He said, "They said that you resemble someone who snatched a woman's purse, and they thought it was you." And they kept me from 7 o'clock to 11 that night. And I cried because if I hadn't gotten that away that night, imagine the news going back home in the village where I grew. Everybody knew me, or my mother and father. Lennox steals something, and my mother she'd have died of shock. My mom would literally have died. I know that, and I grieve her because I think of the woman she was. She was a teacher. She taught me grammar and that sort of stuff. And so my brothers, and of our dad, and my whole, I kept thinking, what if mom had heard this about this? And that to me is what cemented in my spirit and heart a spirit of resistance that I hadn't had before. And through various occasions, I went by the police, frisked, and the other people seeing it first, and they what is another nigger? But that's just the word. But there were people who were opposed to that too, white people and other people. And when we formed BATS, that is some years passed, about a year or two passed, and the police are pulling over black people. Buddy Evans had been shot and killed. Michael B. Lawson shot and killed. These periodic shootings of coming it was like seasonal, These people were shot and killed, and in every case, the police got off.
So, what do you think is the best way to advocate against those types of injustices?
Well, you have to be. Well, today I think it's more possible to be an advocate and not pay the price at the bitter end. In our days, those days, we paid a bitter price in education, going to school, graduating. And it is hard to respond to the question because the question demands to know what the other people are thinking.
Oh, okay.
That what you are doing isn't an action, it is a reaction. Best. So how do you plan for a reaction? You plan the best you can. The parents fortify the children, tell them when they go out, where to go, where not to go, how to pay. If a police pulls you over, keep your hands in the public, because if they can't say that your hand was in the public, it was in your pockets, so that kind of stuff and so. And collectively, advocacy became the hallmark of the Black Action Defense Committee. Many years, many of us got together, on the road to be a lawyer, that sort of stuff. And we had a meeting the night. This is after Michael Reed Lawson was shot.
Hmm.
Um, after no, after Buddy Evans. Or there were so many shootings at the time. I couldn't remember offhand, but there was a shooting that took place. A man was up in his room.
Hmm.
What is the name? He was up in his room having supper, and the the whole experience was that he was having supper, and the police came to his house. They said that he had done something to someone or whatever it is, and they went in his bedroom. His wife was downstairs, I think, and he had a little paring knife to peel apples or whatever it is, and he waved that at the police, and they shot him.
Wow.
And that shooting, his name for some reason just went from me. Um, not Buddy Evans. And the shooting, he was injured. He wasn't well. He had been ill, and he was having supper when they got into his room, and and, and then they threw a mattress on him and shot him through the mattress.
Wow.
And they said he was coming at them with a knife and that sort of stuff. And so, um, his name is I can't. Lester Donaldson, yes, Lester Donaldson. And Lester Donaldson was shot in his bed under his mattress. And we that was after this is after a series of shootings that taking place. This wasn't an isolated event. This was a this was a pillar, a number of pillars along the road to forming Batsy. And when the police were exonerated, the guy who had done the shooting from I wasn't there the day. I had to be in school as a teacher. I was teaching in high school by that time. I understood that he came out from the courthouse and lit a cigar and blew in this direction of the he felt it was such an insult. It wasn't. It's like these were guys, kids with guns,
Hmm.
kids mentality but with guns. He blew smoke at the guys, and he wore cowboy boots, and he blew the smoke at them. And that is when we decided to form the Black Action Defense Committee. That is what gave birth to the Black Action Defense Committee. It was formed shortly after that, because we got together in a rage about what took place, and the way we took out our rage was to form that organization, the Black Action Defense Committee. That's how we call it Black Action. It wasn't inactive or passive, but defense means it is always reacting to what the police is doing. And the police have no leg to stand on to say you're forming an organization or you're communists, you're trying to. They had all kind of wild theories at that time. And so we were formed, and if you want, I could talk about what happened the night for the formation of the BATC. Um, what my memory uh, um, tells me. And I said the BATC was formed with the shooter of Lester Donaldson, because we had been organizing before, but not under a particular name. We were organizing under the names of the victims. Now we decided to organize under a community organization name, and that put together all kinds of people. Put together Owen Leach, put together Shona Hall, Koa Benjamin, Akira Mead, Dari Mead, Also, and then there was a couple of white guys there. One was Steve Moore. He was a member of the Communist Party. He came and also became part of the Black Action Defense Committee.
Oh, really? So you were recruiting members from other committees,
Oh no,
or
they came and they knew us because whenever we had called demonstration, everybody come out to the demonstration. They'd come out and um, and they were very opposed to what and they opposed to what the police were doing too.
Mm,
So that is the night when we formed Batsy. We were upstairs, an upper room. The Jamaican Canada Association had we used their building,
okay,
their room up on the top floor. It
yeah.
was a high rise, and we were there. And if you want, I can tell you who I remember as you forming, because I think the names all should be remembered, but I can't remember them all. But there was Margaret Gittins. I remember Margaret Gittins, Charlie Roach's sister-in-law. Charlie was our lawyer, um, who used to hold bus rides, could go to places fighting racism too. There was Clem Marshall. There was Okoa Benjamin, as I mentioned earlier on. There was Sherwin Hall. There were um, a lot of other people were there that night, and we came up with that name, and that became the name of of the body resisting, not only for Black communities, but also for other communities also, because they saw how we were doing, they came and joined us. So BATSI became a Black Action Defense Committee, became a multi-racial kind of group over a
Okay.
period of time. Over a period of time, that grew, and it was really natural because they were opposed to what the police were doing, and they were doing it with impunity, and people felt that they ought to be resisted and be brought to the trial for what we call the crimes against humanity.
So what's the current agenda of Batsy?
I have not been to a BATSI meeting for 10 years at least. I live in Niagara Falls, yeah. And I don't know. The when I went to a BATSI, they had a speaker who had come from Barbados, no, Jamaica. His name I've forgotten. He was the keynote speaker that night, and they held the office where there was Logie there and other people, and I think he's one of the leaders now of BATSI, and they held a meeting in the west end of the city. Myself, my wife, we went. It was very very rainy that night, very a lot of rain that night, and we were there. Myself, my wife, and a couple of other people. It was a nice turnout. Um, but I have, I think Batsy has fallen off of the radar because the police actions have
Mm,
diminished in terms of what they were doing. Batsy was essentially a reaction. We didn't say, let's form Black Action Defense Committee and let's see what I do. No, we didn't do that at all. We formed that because we needed protection from the police. And the government made some strides themselves. They appointed a black police officer. I mean, it didn't change much, but the complexion meant something to the white police who would otherwise behave the kind of stuff. And so the kind of changes that took place in the policing were from the changes that were wrought by Batsy were very wide ranging. It included changes in the police structure. We eventually had a black police officer. He I think he went to Ottawa where they had this bus this thing of it. But he was a very decent man.
there was mention that Batsy was integral in the creation of the SIU. What led to that?
The Special Investigative Unit,
Yes.
because of the way they would the way the police could get off scot free from what were criminal charges. They'd get off with such ease, and other people, not black people, but people of conscience, people who had concern, could see. the wrongs that were done to Batsy were so egregious and so regular that it was hard to react against it. It's hard to react against the resistance that Batsy was putting up. I mean, look at Michael Wade Lawson, shot in the back of the head. But his mother's dying in Florida. I met her down there. I mean, I think of the other people who got shot, the young people, and um, I think I think the police were schooled, and with schooled I mean were taught to be, I wouldn't say human or decent. That would imply something other than what I want to think. But over time, they changed in terms of the reaction to people, the reaction, and, and of course other people got shot also. There's a Chinese guy who got shot in a streetcar. He was coming out. He was said to be mentally insane, and the reaction of the police is shoot first and then ask questions. Was itself questioned, so that now there is less of that. There's more of trying to capture somebody who's doing wrong. I mean, they need police because there are people who will be doing wrong things and have to. And then in a civil society, you need among people you have somebody who will do that. But people who are being trained now as police, they come from every region of society, and that they bring, of course, to them that themselves and their community with them. So that would change the personal reaction of people to policing, though I'm not sure it will change the structural objectives of the police force. But those kinds of things occur. Then the police would want to come to meetings with us. Um, and I should, in a general sense, that is what Batsy and people like a Akua Benjamin, speaking of a professor at Rice University. You had Dari Mead, Stoller from Antigua. You had Dudley. Dudley Dudley was Dudley was he was incredible. He was just incredible. When Dudley spoke, he didn't speak for long, but some things he said were germane. So when he said, for example, the Toronto police are more murderous than the police in Chicago. So the police sued Dudley. They sued Dudley for saying that.
Wow.
They sued Dudley for saying that. Of course, most of the demonstrations that we held were held in reaction to the police. Um, and there was the last one I attended. I got arrested for that one too. Was with the killing of Rodney King in the U.S. and how the police had beat him, and the black community here decided to demonstrate against that. Cleveland, we should have been there. We had been at a conference somewhere in Georgia, and Joan and I, my wife, we were teachers, so we had to fly back. The others came back by bus, so we came back by plane to go to school next day. And that Saturday was the demonstration. No, Michael Lawrence was shot also, and it was linked to the beating of Rodney King.
Was it?
Yes, something like that. You can check it down, things that, but it seems to things is fold into one or the other in the mind sometimes. But it definitely had to do with Rodney King. I think, yeah, Raymond, what is it, Lester Raymond or someone, Raymond Lawrence was his name, was shot. And that demonstration was really big. Then we had a demonstration going down Yonge Street
Oh wow.
to City Hall. Going down was peaceful, it was organized, we were controlling it. And then when it got to City Hall, we had speeches made, that kind of stuff, and then people had to disband. But instead of disbanding, the young men of the group now, they were, from what I understand, they were people from Montreal, in Toronto, young white youth, and so they took control of the demonstration and they went back up the street.
Oh.
So the leadership of Batsy now is not leading the thing. So I'm trying to run ahead of them because I saw trouble coming for them. I mean, they smashed a window pane, that sort of stuff, and so, and they were going upstairs, and they were going up Young Street to Young and Blow, to those big buildings here that has some big glass panes. That's where they were going to. And I was arrested on the other side.
Yeah.
Were you there when I've been told stories that my father, along with some other people, made a bunch of coffins and dumped them at the police headquarters? Were you there?
Oh boy.
I want to hear that story.
Oh boy, from that reaction, it sounds like he might have been.
Oh, God, oh, God.
I've heard that story. I don't know.
Look at me, hear me. If you hear 1,000 stories about Cleveland, you haven't heard one. You heard just 1,000. Cleveland had, as the time you come here, he had he was always cheerful. Give him credit for that. Serious, not cheerful doesn't mean he wasn't serious. He was cheerful in that he would his spirit was one that enchanted not only adults but kids. My kids love Cleveland just because of the way he had an enchanting kind of spirit. Cleveland, I can only laugh now when you think of him. You know, he got together me one day. I'm not sure where we were, but I was imprisoned by Cleveland. Imprisonment that he was talking about music, and he was talking about he's throwing a line out. Who was the guy who was it who he was the backup for the main guy in the dance in the club the night, and the main guy didn't come, and he stepped in, and and what he sang become a breakaway record. I say,
Hold on.
Nat King Cole, and he had all these stories.
Yeah.
And this song, Bobby McGee, hey, 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 Bobby McGee, breaking fast in Baton Rouge, looking for a train, feeling so lonely as my dreams. Bobby started to be down on the road, my rain. Oh, and I'm saying, oh my God. Oh, and yes, you have to sit and let him sing the whole song through. And then you get the best laugh of it, the best belly laugh you get of that song he sing. He was I miss him. Um, he was someone. There were a lot of these decent people in Batsia. I'm still in touch with a core Benjamin. She's at Ryerson University. Dari Mead, Margaret Gittins. I think Margaret Gittins, she might be dead. Sharon Hall is dead, I know for sure. Yeah. And
You didn't answer my question. Did he do the grapes? Did he do the coffee?
yeah, did he? If you would have wanted to put him in one of them, that's what he wanted to do. But it was too small. Yeah, yeah.
But they did do that then.
Yes.
I heard the stories. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I thank God I wasn't there. They would have put me in one. But I heard about it. Took the coffins down. But he would do that kind of stuff.
No.
Even if he would.
Make a shitty.
Yeah.
He made the shitty T-shirts. You remember those?
Yes. Yeah, he Cleveland would build a coffin. Yeah, that'd be his idea.
Oh yeah, that sounds like.
Yeah, and he was as fearless as an eagle, but gentle with children, gentle as a dove. And my kids remember him. Of all the people in Bad Sea, they remember him. Cleveland more.
Some Bad Sea members came to his funeral. They were there. You were there.
Yes, yes, yes.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there. So you've seen them.
Yeah.
Like Tanderway, is that her name? Tanderway, she was
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Yes.
They're all active. They're still members.
What's his name? His name just mentioned the chairperson. Yeah, the whole Batsy is a different organization now. because the times are different. And unfortunately, in our community, one of the features of our community is that what we form are in reaction to what exists already. We do not form things to shape the future. We form things to shape the past. Things that are already created in our, so that the Black Action Defense can was a reaction to police activity. All the black organizations are reactions. The black organizations involved in finance and all those things. We don't have anything that we initiate to affect other things. Um, and it's a reflection of our lack of power or,
Conceived,
or
perceived lack of power.
perceived lack of power. And, and a feeling of lack of question of resources. The our community here, like communities in the U.S. And other places, I don't think we've snatched the flag yet of leadership. We lead after things have happened to us. Other communities join in and get benefits of what took place, but we still haven't the thrust to be an engine to change things before they affect us. So in education, we had organizations, black organizations, the Black Education Committee, meeting with North Board of Education, meeting with the Toronto Board of Education. I myself, I mean, all these black organizations formed against what is occurring to them, to black people, that formed to grasp the future and shape it in how we shape it. And that's one of the consequences, I think, of racism, people of slavery. People want to talk about those kind of things, but the effects of those things are with us. And of course, you have a successful black person who makes it. People point to that. Oh, see what he does. He does it. And less rest of you that's ain't doing anything, that kind of stuff. Um, we have a complex past and we have a complex history, I think, ahead of us. Um, but we have a history. And in that history, we've always produced leaderships and programs and objectives, but always as a reaction. Or I won't say always, I don't know if oft as a reaction to what exists. Because we live under a system, even in an independent country as Canada, under a system of colonization. White people colonize the world, and black people live with the results of it. Even they have independence. They have independence in Jamaica. In Jamaica, Jamaicans have the right to vote. In Trinidad, they have the right to vote. But who are the industrialists? And where are the industrialists located with the money to come in? And that's where we still are. Colonized, though we are independent, we are colonized though independent. Because at the end of the day, independence is wealth. It's wealth to create for yourself what is in your interest. But no, we are still creating for these groups, the colonizers. I mean, look at North America. Look at England. Look at Australia. What color? What are the people like? The people who run the place and those who own it initially. In Canada here, we have the First Nations people. What do? They have drinking soil water, all kind of stuff, and so they are colonized. They are colonized. The white society has a grip on the planet that is global, and they tweak it to suit themselves, be they in France, in England, in the United States, be it Canada, be it Australia, that's what they do. And where's any reaction coming from? I think the reaction is coming from the Muslim countries who have handle on so handle, and some who had that handle on power, like Libya. Their president was murdered by America, and today Libya now a country very well with oil, they are a pauperized country. And you look into Africa, Uganda, Kenya, all those places, gold, I mean, galore. When America goes into those places, as I recently saw in by some the whole well, the Ukraine came up about country they wanted the West to support Ukraine, and Biden went to Africa, they had a meeting with them to pull together the people, and they said to him, look, when we were fighting apartheid, Russia came to our aid and China came to aid. They gave us weapons that we've got freedom with. You supported our enemies against us, and you still do in terms of the trade links you have. For example, in Africa, they have a NATO base there against the will of Africans, but Africans can't get rid of it. So the point I'm trying to make, I think I'm correct in it, is that globally the world is run by white people, by well not by white people I should say, by white society, their idea of what wealth is, and the way they see again getting wealth is that they'd come in, they'd seize what you have, use it up, and leave you to clean up the mess that's left after. That's about it. And
Well,
when will that change?
someone takes action. That being said, is there anything you have to say in closing, as we do have another guest to bring on and continue these candid conversations?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I hope that in speaking of Batsy and so, that I mentioned things. There's a lot I didn't mention. A lot of people who I couldn't recall, can't recall,
Okay.
and some things I might have gotten mixed up. It's been quite a while. But I hope that if that what I said would give others an impetus to change things and correct imbalances and so that may have been said in there. Um, I was fortunate to be a member of Batsy. Fortunate. I remember again the night when the police pulled me over. It still brings tears to my eyes. Tears to my eyes. I can't mention without crying because it would have killed my mother.
Mm.
I've heard that her son, eldest son, who had passed his London GC exams, had gone to Canada to get to do better himself, had been caught by the police raping a white woman. She couldn't imagine what could have happened to me in my life. Within months of coming to Canada. And that has been the course of my life. I've been arrested many times. Of course, the police didn't have anything on me. And all the police who arrest you are not indecent. Some of them, they do the job and they do what has to be done. Yeah. And the question that faces me
Hmm.
as a black person is, how have my humanity, and every human being should ask that, how has my humanity blessed the world or cursed it? Because we either do one or the other. We either bless or we curse. How does my humanity, and the guests who are people who are looking on, ask yourself the same question. How does your humanity for this Black History Month bless or curse? And wherever you are, you can do some good. You can see some child going astray. You could be a teacher doing something. Small things, you could never imagine the small thing grow, big can grow. Because an oak tree is a very small that grows this massive tree. And our lives are like oak trees. We start small where we are, but we are limitless in what we can do for good and for otherwise too. Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. All right. So for Lennox Farrell, this is David the Block Terrell saying, well,